All right. Call to order the meeting of the Mayor and Council of the Borough of River Edge, agenda February 22nd, 2021, regular meeting. I ask for a moment of silent contemplation of the 500,000 or so who have perished during the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay. 1 second. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America
and to the
to the
republic
republic
for which it
which it
stands,
stands,
one nation,
one nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and
liberty
justice.
and justice for all.
Thank you. Let me now return and stop sharing that. Hold on. Stop sharing. There we go. Very good. All right, everybody. And let me move down. Great. Statement of compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act. This meeting complies with the Open Public Meeting Act by notification on January 8th, this location, date, and time to the Ridgewood News and the Record by posting the same on the municipal bulletin board and borough website and filing notice of the same with the borough clerk. It is also in compliance with recent regulations regarding virtual meetings of the mayor and council, that those meetings will continue for some time to come, and that there is access to this meeting by links found on the borough website. If any member of the public during the open session would like to speak, they need only raise their hand, and our moderator, Councilwoman Kaufman, will recognize you, or hit *9 during the open public session. Stephanie, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Bastide?
Here.
Councilman Kanigo?
Here.
Councilman Gaudier?
Here.
Councilwoman Kaufman?
Here.
Councilwoman Kinsella?
Here.
Councilwoman Cohen?
Here.
Okay, so now we have approval of the minutes, item number 5. Approval of the minutes of the mayor and council regular meeting of February 8th, 2021. Could I have Council President Kanigo and Councilwoman Bastide move and second?
So moved.
Second.
Very good. Could I have a roll call, please?
Councilwoman Bastide?
Yes.
Councilman Kanigo?
Yes.
Councilman Gaudier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cohen?
Yes.
Very good, thank you. So we want to open to the public on any item on the agenda. So this is only for items on the agenda. Would Councilman Gaudier move and Councilwoman Kaufman second?
So moved.
Second.
If we could have a roll call, please.
Councilwoman Bastide?
Yes.
Councilman Kanigo?
Yes.
Councilman Gaudier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cohen?
Yes.
Okay, we are now open to the public. Councilwoman Kaufman, if you would moderate that, please. Thank you.
So if anyone has a question, just raise your hand and I will call on you and allow you to talk, starting with Brian. 1 second. Okay, Brian, you can speak now.
Hi, how's everyone tonight? I just want to thank you for keeping your promise of putting it on the agenda for the
Brian,
Yes.
I'm sorry. Your requirements is full name and address. I apologize.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Brian Yenzel, 238 Monroe Avenue, obviously River Edge. Again, I just want to thank you guys for keeping the promise. I'm sure you all saw the governor starting to loosen some of the guidelines for things. So again, I'm just really appreciative that you are doing what you said you would do.
Well, you're welcome, Brian. On behalf of the council and myself, we want to serve you. We want to serve you well, and we will have that conversation, and we will open again just after that conversation. So thank you for saying that, and thank you for commenting on the agenda. Councilwoman Kaufman.
And next up is Tony Arturi. You can speak now.
Actually, I guess I'm waiting till after you go over the old business section. So thanks.
Gotcha.
I'll hang on.
Okay. And I believe that's it.
All right then. Could I have Councilwoman Montesano Cohen and Councilwoman
Oh,
Kinsella?
yeah.
Oh, hold on,
And hold on one second, sorry.
definitely wait.
Rob Berninger.
All right.
I think
Good evening, Rob Berninger, 205 Madison Ave. Just on Ordinance 21-7 for the repaving of the library parking lot. Is that something that can hold off until there's been a final plan for that community center parking lot?
Well, we actually do have a plan for that community center parking lot. We have canceled the contract for the community center. The amount came in several $1 million. It was revised by the architect and it came in several $1 million more than we expected. Council reviewed that, canceled the contract. And so now it only has a initial or a primer coat. I don't think that's a technical language, and it needs to be finished. We have already pretty much approved some changes that were requested by the River Edge Ambulance Corps. So we would be moving ahead with that. But if you have comment or thoughts, feel free to offer them now.
I did have something. I reached out to a company. I didn't get a answer back yet, but I wanted to know if the mayor and council would consider a dome, a multi-purpose dome over in that area instead of a structure of a community center. They're much less. I know that there's still funding there and you haven't decided what you're going to do with it. But I did want to forward some information to you and the council, just to review of the cost and the function of a multi-purpose air structure.
Okay, why don't you do that? We welcome any information or thoughts that for us to consider it. We're going to move ahead with the ordinance. If we need to, at some later date, revise the ordinance or make a change, we can consider that then. But yeah, no, we appreciate any thoughts or information that you might be able to send us, Rob.
Okay. Yeah, I was hoping to have it for tonight, but the company I was dealing with did not have it. There is no cost for them to kind of give a proposal plan. But as soon as I get it, is it all right for me just to forward it to you guys via email?
Well, what we prefer is that you forward it to our borough clerk, Stephanie Evans. That way it becomes part of the record, and then she would forward it to the council.
Okay, very good. Will do.
All right, Rob, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Kaufman, anyone
That's
else?
it. That's it.
So if I could have Councilwoman Montesano Cohen move and Councilwoman Kinsella second to close to the public.
So moved. Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Bastoud,
Yes.
Councilman Kanigo,
Yes.
Councilman Godier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cohen.
Yes.
Okay, if there's no objection, I'm going to move item number 7 as a full package. I'm going to ask Councilwoman Bastoud to move, and I'm going to read it out, and then ask Councilwoman Bastoud to move, and Council President Kanigo to second. So appointment and personnel change. Oh, first of all, is there objection? Hearing none. We're going to move items A through E. Approve the salary increase of Gita Birnbaum, account supervisor, deputy tax collector, from an annual salary of $70,117.76 to $75,117.76, effective March 1st, 2021. Approve the salary increase of Edwin Alter, land use board clerk, from an hourly step 2 salary of $22.33 to step 3, $23.51, retroactive to October 23rd, 2020. Approve the salary increase of Margaret Shirley, reference librarian from an annual salary of $61,301.76 to $62,516.48 to reflect the 2% salary increase from the 2021 retroactive to January 1st, 2021. Approve the salary increase of Lisa Cavarelli, Land Use Board Recording Secretary from an hourly step 2 rate of $22.33 to a step 3 rate of $23.51, retroactive to December 12, 2020. Approve the appointment of Kenneth Kratheimer to the 2021 Citizens Budget Committee. Could I have a motion, a second?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Bastu,
Yes.
Councilman Kanigo,
Yes.
Councilman Godier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cohen.
Yes.
Item number 8 is monthly reports. There are several on record that one may get through the clerk's office, environmental protection and green team, January 2021, fire department, January 2021, library board, February 2021, tax collector, January 2021, board of health, February 2021, land use board, January 6th and January 20th of 2021. All right. So now we are up to a first reading. Now, first reading is not open to the public. It is open to the public when it comes around to the second reading, which will happen at the next mayor and council meeting. We have ordinances, a first reading. I'm going to ask Councilwoman Kaufman to move and Councilman Gaudier to second the ordinance 2021 after clerk reads it. If the clerk could please read ordinance 2021-6.
Ordinance 21-6, bond ordinance to authorize the improvement of Continental Avenue from Elm Avenue to Millbrook Road in, by, and for the Borough of River Edge in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $609,000 to pay the costs thereof, to appropriate a state grant, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriations, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
So I'm going to ask our BA to inform the public what this includes. And Ms. Apratella, if you could also just explain the bond part, and so that the public knows that we are getting some funds for this and why we originally moved forward with this.
Yes, with this ordinance, what bonds do is allows the municipality to borrow and to incur debt for various capital projects. Items have to have a useful life of at least 5 years. So with Continental Avenue, the borough received a grant from the New Jersey Department of Transportation. However, when any entity receives a grant, we have to provide the full appropriation first. And then once the project is completed, we receive back whatever the grant award is. So of this $609,000, the borough is expected to receive back $400,000, which will offset the debt. And then we have several years, I believe, depending on the bond, about a good 10 to 20 years to pay off the balance. And this is all pursuant to local bond law.
Okay, so as the public can see, 2/3 of the cost, and this is due to a storm drain. Isn't that true, Ms. Apratella?
Yes, and this all in order to do the storm drain, you then have to improve the area and mill and pave and put down asphalt.
So there was a storm drain underneath Continental that was failing, and we were able to get a grant, and so 2/3 of the cost. And then there are incidental costs, including engineering and other costs that need to be considered. So, so this is really a very good improvement for the borough of River Edge, and it's a required improvement. So it is necessary, not a wish list, but a requirement. All right, so could I have a roll call? No, it's been moved and seconded. Could I have a roll call, please? Oh, wait, first, is there any debate from council? According to Robert's rules, once it's been moved and seconded, it's open for debate. Is there debate? Hearing none, roll call.
Councilwoman Bastu,
Yes.
Councilman Kanigo,
Yes.
Councilman Godier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cowan.
Yes.
Very good, thank you. So for ordinance 21-7, if I could have Councilwoman Kinsella move and Councilwoman Monsanto Cohen second after it's been read. Could our clerk please read ordinance 21-7?
Ordinance 21-7, bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements in, by, and for the Borough of River Edge in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $400,000 to pay the costs thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriations, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of issuance of such bonds.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Could Ms. Appertella, could you please speak to this so the public will know what the purpose of this bond ordinance is?
Yes, this bond ordinance covers three main items. One is to repair a sewer issue on Manchester, and it is for the repair of the sanitary and storm sewer systems with milling and paving of that road, to set money aside for any additional sewer repairs as needed. That is an expensive undertaking. And this also includes the resurfacing, the milling and paving of the library parking lot. So this is considered a multi-purpose bond ordinance.
All right. Council, is there any debate? Is there debate? Hearing none, we will go to the roll call.
Councilwoman Bastood,
Yes.
Councilman Kanigo,
Yes.
Councilman Godier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cowan.
Yes.
All right, we're to item number 10, second reading and hearing on the ordinance. So in a minute, I'm going to ask Councilman Gaudier to move and Councilwoman Monsanto Cohen to second the ordinance 21-5. If the clerk could please read the ordinance. And this is to open to the public.
Ordinance 2105, an ordinance to amend Chapter 65 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of River Edge entitled Officers and Employees.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Bastood,
Yes.
Councilman Kanigo,
Yes.
Councilman Godier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cowan.
Yes.
This was a non-debatable motion, but before we invite public comment, if Ms. Appertella, if you could just review what this ordinance intends to achieve.
Yes, this ordinance intends to achieve the codification of the position of tax collector. It is a statutory position required of all municipalities, and this is just to have our borough code comply with state statute.
Okay, Councilwoman Kaufman, is there any comment or question?
No.
All right, so I would ask, could I have Councilwoman Kinsella move and Council President Kanigo second to close to the public?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Bastood,
Yes.
Councilman Kanigo,
Yes.
Councilman Godier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cowan.
Yes.
At this point, we're going to move to adopt. So
No, upstairs.
Tony, I think your mic is open. You got to close it. Ms. Territory, thanks. So I'm going to ask Councilwoman Kaufman to move and Councilwoman Bastoud to second to move to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any debate? Hearing none, we will move to the roll call.
Councilwoman Bastoud,
Yes.
Councilman Kanigo,
Yes.
Councilman Godier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cowan.
Yes.
Okay, so now we're at item number 11, resolutions. We do want to, there are some normal resolutions here, but we want to take some note that we are approving the appointment of a junior firefighter, Nicholas Ian Tana
Ian and Tuano,
Thank you. I am terrible with names. I apologize.
my
Thank you
neighbor.
for saying that. Anyone who wants to jump in on the next one, though I think I'll get that one. Approve the appointment of the volunteer firefighter Joseph Herman. So I wanted to make note those two items in particular, and also to approve the appointment of volunteer firefighter Patrick Rizzo. So we need our volunteer firefighters. They are an extraordinary group. They get up in the middle of the night for a smoke detector just to make sure that we're safe. They're an outstanding group, and we are grateful for their service. So if we could, I'd like Councilwoman Kaufman as the liaison. If when I finish reading it, would you please move, and Councilwoman Montana Cohen second. So resolutions 21-82 through 21-88. Could I have a motion and second?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Oh, I'm sorry, debate. Okay, roll call.
Councilwoman Bastoud,
Yes.
Councilman Kanigo,
Yes.
Councilman Godier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cohen.
Yes.
Okay, now we're up to payment of the bill, resolution 21-89. Councilwoman Kaufman, if you would move, and if someone else from the Finance Committee second.
Sure. And just to note, all the firefighters are here with us tonight. So congratulations to you all.
Yes, yes. I didn't realize they were all here. Let's pause for a second. Round of applause for our firefighters. Mr. Sarlo, I think we've decided as a part of the virtual that we would swear them in person and not virtually. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, you could do it either way, but that's what you've been doing since this pandemic started.
Okay. I don't have the language for swearing in. I don't know if the firefighters want to do it virtually or not. Patrick, Nicholas, and Joseph, do you want to get sworn in virtually or not? It's up to you. You would have to go down to the clerk's office if you don't want to do it here now. You got to go down anyway to sign it, no matter what.
It's easier to do it now. That works for me, but it's up to everyone else.
All right. Joseph and Nicholas, any thoughts? Are you comfortable with being sworn in now?
Yeah, this is perfect for me.
All right, your camera needs to be on, Nick. And Joseph? Is Joseph here? Is Joseph here, Michelle?
I don't see him.
Well, we can swear those in. I need a copy of the language. How might I get that? Stephanie, can you send a copy to me? Is that possible?
I'll go to the scanner now.
Okay, great. We're going to move on, guys, and we're going to come back to you. Why don't we move payment of the bills? Go ahead.
Okay. At a regular meeting of the Mayor and Council of the Borough of River Edge, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, held on February 22nd, 2021, be it resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of River Edge approve the following expenditures. Current account, $188,087.40. Capital account, $933. Grant fund, $2,631.79. Trust other account, $10,449.54. Payroll account, $11,586.66. Recreation account, $3.90. So moved.
Second.
Okay. Could we have a roll call, please?
Councilwoman Bastoud,
Yes.
Councilman Kanigo,
Yes.
Councilman Godier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cohen.
Yes.
Okay, very, very good. So now we're up to new businesses, curb your dog signs. Councilwoman Kinsella, I believe this is your item.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to let everyone know that recently, before the snow, obviously, I was walking my dog, and I usually walk him on Fifth Avenue, and I noticed a lot of dog waste, especially when it started getting very cold. And I spoke with the mayor and who directed me to Lieutenant Walker, who I had a conversation with. And he spoke with his colleague, Detective Sanchez, who deals with some of these initiatives. And they suggested a bit of a reminder to the residents to kind of curb your dog and possibly put up signs as a reminder. So I just wanted to let the council, with their approval, have some input on this.
All right, so can you show a copy of the sign? Can you present that?
I do not know. I will try to. Michelle, is it possible? Because I sent it via text.
1 second.
Okay, thank you. And obviously, this is just a proposal sign.
One second, and I will pop it up. Okay, so there it is. If anyone has thoughts, you all can see it now, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I know that there is some question about the fine. Is the fine, according to the ordinance, actually up to $1,000? Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the fine is, according to Ordinance 122-18, which sets the fines for pet-related and animal-related issues. Frankly, the fine, the maximum fine seems a little excessive to my eyes for such a transgression. And in other areas, we have a scale, maybe starting with a warning, then a $50 fine, then a $100 fine, something along those lines. Obviously, this is something that is important to enforce to a certain extent, but the ordinance 122-18 also speaks to up to 9 months in jail and up to 9 months of community service. I would imagine that $1,000 fine and 9 months in jail is a little egregious for a pet defecating on the curb and leaving that there. Especially because sometimes it happens that people run out of bags and they actually mean to come back and get it. And I've seen that happen. So the fine would apply nonetheless. So I think perhaps before we go ahead and print these signs up, maybe we should have the ordinance committee, the codification committee, I should say, look at the ordinance and come up with something a little better.
All right.
Lieutenant Walker was hoping to speak.
We would welcome. This would require the council to approve. Does the council object to Lieutenant Walker speaking?
No.
No.
Lieutenant Walker?
Not at all.
We welcome your comment.
Hold on a second. I have to see if I can. Let me just stop the share. 1 sec. Okay, Lieutenant Walker, you are able to speak now.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. So I just wanted to point out that it says up to 1,000. So we have many ordinances that, they'll say up to a certain amount, but it would be, I can tell you this, just being with Judge Safro for many, many years, if you were to come in with a ticket like this, you're looking at $50 or something. It generally goes anywhere from an amount to an amount. And I think it's literally up to, or we'll probably say like 50 to 1,000. So just so you're aware of that. $1,000 is probably like a repeat offender that's just lets his dogs run loose and doesn't want to listen to anybody.
It's fine. That's not what the ordinance says, though. So we should,
it isn't?
address
All right.
it. So Yeah, I read it before when I received the text with the sign. I went back to the ordinance. And
Oh, then I stand corrected. Thank you.
yeah, so we should just take a look at it, and Mike will do it in conjunction with you guys, and you can give us the advice, and certainly we'll follow it. I just think that we should have something a little more structured than just an open up to $1,000. So.
All right, so why don't we form a quick committee, an ad hoc committee? Councilman Kanigo, would you be willing to be a part of the committee?
Of course.
And of course, Councilwoman Kinsella. And is there another member of council who wishes to be a part of the committee?
I can be a part of it, Mr. Mayor, because I would like to add something to this item, please, if when you're done.
So if the council, without objection, we will have an ad hoc committee of Councilwoman Montesano Cohen, Councilwoman Kinsella, and Council President Kanigo. Is there objection? Hearing none, we now recognize Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, 2 meetings ago, I think we raised an issue also in the lines of with dogs in the ice rink. And I know I just wanted to bring to everybody's mind that I believe Jason in our DPW and Carolyn from our REC Commission are working on signs and should be presenting to us proposed sketches like this one in other meetings.
That'd be outstanding. That'd be great. Do we wish, would you want Carolyn Danza, our rec director, to speak to that or not?
If she is on the call and can provide some updates, that would be great.
So without objection, would the council recognize Carolyn Danza? Hearing none, Carolyn, go ahead. She's having a little problem with her mic.
Okay. Hello. Can
Go
y'all
ahead.
hear me? Hi. I don't have too much of an update, just that Jason and I have been in conversations. We've been looking into actually the ordinance as stated on how exactly to word those signs. So I'm happy that this was brought up and will be reviewed. So that will definitely be helpful to us with proceeding with the signage. I know we also were talking about putting doggy bag stations at the park to help with that as well. So whatever sign, we go with, I think should be consistent throughout the community. So I'm happy that this actually came up today, so.
All right. Now, if Councilman Kanigo, Council President, and Councilwoman Montesano Cohen and Kinsella, if you could please, as you're reviewing that ordinance as an ad hoc committee, certainly I know you would welcome Carolyn's input and Lieutenant Walker's input and Jason, our DPW superintendent, but also would you please consider the problem we've been having at the ice skating rink as an additional problem that we may want to, with verbiage towards the ordinance. So I have now, thank you, Stephanie Evans, our clerk. I have now the language. Without objection, I'd like to return to the swearing in. Is there objection? All right, so I have, let's see, we have Nick here, and I believe we have Patrick. And what about Joseph? Is he here? No, all right. So we'll just do Nick and Joseph. So if the two of you, I'm sorry, Nick and Patrick. So if you two would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Patrick Rizzo,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the
and the
Constitution,
Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I
and that
and
I
that
will bear true faith
will bear
I will bear
true
true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same
and to the government established
and
and to the government established
in the United States
and the United
in the
States
United States
and in the state and in this state
and in
and
this
in this state
under the authority of the people.
under
under
the
the authority of the people.
I state your name.
I
I, Nicholas Thomas Iron Antuano,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
as a junior firefighter
as a junior firefighter
of the River Edge Volunteer Fire Department
of the River Edge
the River Edge Volunteer Fire Department
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my
to the best of
ability.
my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Outstanding, gentlemen. Patrick, Nick, thank you. We really appreciate it. Yeah, before you go, Patrick and Nick, I want the public to understand. I think you have to go through what, 6 months worth of training to become a firefighter, to be certified as a firefighter. Is that correct?
Well, it varies by when you go to the schooling.
Yeah.
So, if you do the night classes, it usually takes longer. And if you go to the summer, it takes usually I think 2 to 3 months, if I'm not mistaken, opposed to the 6 months.
So the summer is 2 to 3 months. And how often do you go to those night classes if you're doing the summer?
Well, I think the night classes are 6 months, and that's twice a week, opposed to, I think, Monday through Friday if you do it in the summer.
Wow. So tremendous commitment. We are really very grateful. Thank you both. You just need to, sometime in the near future, just call the borough office so that they'll let you in, and you'll just come and sign the oath of office, okay? And if you could share with Joseph that he needs to stop by the clerk's office. Again, call first, and she'll swear. She'll swear him in, and then he'll sign. Thank you both. And if you wish to stay, you can, but we're just going to be doing more business. So if you're enthralled by borough's business, please stay.
All right. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Is there any?
Thank you.
You're welcome, both of you. Thank you. Is there any other new business? All right, very good. Now we have old business, return to play policy. I'm going to hand this over to our Council President Canigo.
Thank you, Mayor. So we're back to the return to play policy. I see that there's a lot of people here who want to be heard, and we promised you all that we would listen to you. Obviously, we have been buried by snow recently, so a lot of these things are not issues that we're really addressing for play tomorrow, but we promised that we'd listen to everybody, and we're here to listen. I would ask that when you quote whatever literature you're going to tell us about, let us know where that is so that we can also read through it over the next couple of weeks. And this will be back on the agenda in 2 weeks when we reconvene. So tonight is mostly an information type session. Yes, sir.
Okay. So at this point, we need to open to the public. Councilman Canigo, would you make a motion? It could have someone on the council to second to open to public comments.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Bastide?
Yes.
Councilman Gaudier?
Yes.
Now we'll do it right. Councilman Canigo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cohen?
Yes.
Okay, to manage this, we're going to hand this over to Councilwoman Kaufman. She will be calling on different persons. I also see some stuff is in the chat. I'm sure Councilwoman Kaufman will address anything that might come through that item. And if we could prioritize those who'd like to talk to the return to play policy first, if the public could do that, that would help, be a more efficient use of presentation time.
Mr. Mayor, I would also ask if anybody's here in an official capacity. Some people are here as a rec commission, some people are here as heads of leagues. If you can also identify yourselves in that respect, so we know who's talking, so the public that sees this later knows who's talking.
Okay, that sounds like a great plan. Councilwoman Kaufman, I see you just, is this, did we do payment of the bills, Councilwoman Kaufman?
We did that. I was just wondering if we did those approve the temporary capital budget?
Yes, we did. We did
Oh,
all the
okay.
resolutions 21-82 through 21-88.
Okay.
All right.
So if
Okay.
anyone has a question, just raise your hand and I will allow you to speak. One at a time. Or a comment.
Just remember to say your full name and address. And if you don't live in town, that's fine. Just say your full name and address.
Okay, so could start with Tony, our attorney, and just unmute yourself.
Sure. I should have done that a while ago. It's Tony Arturi, 171 Manning Avenue, River Edge. Sorry for the disruption earlier. I just wanted to say again, I remain in support of rescinding the unique River Edge guidelines in favor of using the state guidelines. I still feel having our own guidelines is unnecessary and confusing, given that they're more restrictive. I think they're likely to drive down participation, push some would-be participants to more exclusive options, which could be exclusionary to some of our residents with respect to money, and roster cuts be more expensive, and developing players might be excluded. I'm also concerned with having different guidelines than Ordinance on rec sports we share, such as lacrosse. I did send along something during the week that you may have seen. It was noted where it came from and who. I'll mention that among other things, it stated rules that are really more about showing you're doing something versus doing something that's actually effective are counterproductive. That's the opinion of Julian Marcus, a Harvard Medical School epidemiologist. There was an interesting piece, I don't know if you got a chance to look at it, relating various rules back to the earlier days in their experience with the AIDS epidemic, and how having, focusing on the effectiveness of measures was key. Beyond that, I just, again, I want the council to consider rescinding the River Edge return to play policy unique to River Edge in favor of following the state's policy. Thank you for your time, and I thank you for your service. And if any of the volunteer firefighters are still left, and even if they're not, I want to thank them. That's it.
Mr. Arturi, I got a quick question for you.
Yeah.
You said this is going to have a freezing effect on sports. People are not going to sign up. I'm not quite sure why this would have a freezing effect. Maybe you can speak to that.
Yeah, so I had a son who played travel baseball in third grade. He later wised up and moved to just lacrosse. But sorry, baseball people. But let's see. I saw him stand in he was just standing, but I saw them play an inning in 97-degree heat, Dumont. That took an hour. One of the right fielder abandoned the game briefly to take a bathroom break. I don't think that wearing a mask in the outfield for an hour is really helping anybody. And I've seen, and it would be extremely uncomfortable in 97 degrees. Look, I appreciate all of it. And I actually reviewed your comments in the minutes from last meeting. I understand that caution is called for, and I can tell you personally, myself and my family have exercised a great deal of caution. I do think that this policy is confusing. It exceeds the states. I do not understand why our River Edge has a unique situation with respect to this. I think that people will turn on, like, News 12 New Jersey, see the governor say one thing, then find out another thing. And I just think it's excessive. It's an opinion, and I'm offering my opinion to the council. I don't feel that, I'm not going to offer much of a defense, except that I know that my kids don't really, I don't feel that it's necessary for them to play masked. I know that it's very uncomfortable. I understand that discomfort's okay, but I think that if you're more cautious than that, especially with respect to outdoor sports, the numbers of people who will opt out because the town's policies are not more stringent than the states are smaller, then people go, you know what, I'm going to take a pass.
All right, I was just wondering if there was any actual evidence other than opinion.
Evidence, well, actually I offered something in my email sent to you last week that, and now I got to go look it up on my phone, which I'm using on Zoom here.
This is the COVID absolutism.
Yes,
right?
piece. Yep.
Okay.
Of comments on how outdoor transmission, unless people are standing in close proximity to each other for a long time, is really not been documented. And I note that there's no sports that fit that profile. I guess if the same batter, the same catcher, and the umpire is behind the plate, one could make an argument that the catcher and the umpire might be in close contact for a long time. But for the most part, people are running past each other or standing by themselves. So that's it. Look, anyone can go refer back to the minutes and look at the all of the material you offered. I'm not a scientist. I'm just a schmo who lives on Manning. I do think it's excessive, the policy, and I do think it will tamp down participation. And I do think that one of the real community activities that are avidly participated in River Edge is the local rec sports, and I'd hate to see that with a kind of a second year put a dent in the participation, and it could have lasting effects. And I think it's something that's put unnecessarily at risk. So no, I don't have evidence. Yes, I have a pretty good sense.
I read the article, and first of all, Tony, I've known you for a long time, and I respect you, and I don't think you're just a schmo. I know you're saying everything you're saying because you believe it, and I'm not in any way trying to insult you or fight with you or argue with you. But I did read the article, and I tried to see where this particular doctor was coming from, and there wasn't much support by way of empirical evidence. And it harkened back to a day and a time in the United States history where the AIDS epidemic was running rampant and people did a certain thing and tried to equate it to what's going on now. And the two they can't be equated, frankly. That being said, I don't think what you're saying was actually the crux of the article, because it was talking about how colleges were tamping down on people walking outdoors, and what the practical effect of that was that people were surreptitiously going about having indoor secret gatherings, and what was actually happening was it was creating a greater problem than just allowing people to run outdoors. The reason I asked about whether you have any evidence is because we do have people here who are from the leagues. And again, not to tamp down anything that you've said, but we're going to hear from them, and perhaps they can shed light on whether, in fact, that people are saying no, absolutely not. We're not going to allow our kids to play with a mask, or well, if it has to happen, then so be it. So we'll hear from everybody else. But do you want to add anything else, Tony, other than what you've said so far?
No, thank you.
You can always do so later too. So
sure.
Thanks, Tony.
Next, we had a comment from Carolyn Baldanza.
Hi, everyone. So I just wanted to talk about the latest executive order that came out on February 20th, which basically considers parents and guardians as necessary for children under 21. So as we had required the leagues to put together their plan on how they're going to enforce the limitations for gathering. So now that that has changed, I just want to make sure I'm communicating to the leagues, what is required from them if they need to now put in place these guidelines with spectators attending their programs. So the executive order basically said that, parents are now necessary for 1 to 2 parents or guardians. So I just wanted to know the council's stance on this, and if this was something that the leagues can now put into place to their programs.
I believe so, and I'll let everybody else from the council also speak to it. But yes, we had said with respect to the outdoor gathering that we had to enforce it because it was the executive order, and we can't do less than what the executive order requires. So if the executive order has been lifted and allows the parents, then by all means, the parents should be allowed to spectate at their kids' sports.
I agree.
I also agree. I just think that it has to be clear that, again, the mask and social distance, they're still required. That does not remove that. And I think it has to be clear the coaches then are expected to make sure the parents are spaced accordingly. So I want that to be that we don't lose track of that as well.
Correct.
And I think what we need to do is ask that everybody just be respectful and try to adhere to these guidelines, the parents and so forth. We don't necessarily want the coaches, I would say, we don't necessarily want the coaches to have to become police officers and have to have fights with parents. If there's a problem with a particular parent, if somebody is refusing to wear a mask and is possibly going too close to the kids, then perhaps the coaches have to call the police in those situations. But I think as a community and our sports community, everybody's pretty tight-knit. And I would imagine that the parents will just do the right thing if we ask them to. So it's a lot of what we're putting into play here, and it goes to something that somebody said earlier, it's how we're going to enforce it. I said it last time. We're not sending, the police down to, enforce these rules. We're asking the leagues that they self-enforce the rules. We ask the leagues that they ask their parents to cooperate. And so, I think this will work out in the best way possible under these circumstances. And all these things are changing on a daily basis and a weekly basis. Once these vaccines start going and more people get vaccinated, and all the numbers start plummeting down, and hopefully this new variant that just showed up in New York doesn't come in and become a fire here in New Jersey. As we move along, I think, we will be reconsidering certain of these things. Tony was talking about 97-degree weather. I haven't seen 97-degree weather in the past couple of months. I'm assuming you're talking about August. August is several months away. July is several months away. So as we're approaching those deadlines, we're going to look at those things too. For now, it's just a guideline, and under the circumstances of what's happening today, these are the guidelines. But just like we promised you that we'd revisit it today, we will revisit it as we go along.
So at this moment, we've had 3 members of council, which constitute less than a majority in regards to the change that our director of rec, Ms. Baldanza, has said. Could we have a motion to revise, to recognize that parents are now necessary members, and therefore that should be the policy? Unless, Mr. Sala, do you wish to?
Yeah, Mayor, the executive order just covers collegiate sports. So the executive order just says the parents for collegiate sports can attend, up to 2 guardians. It specifically says collegiate sports. I just don't want anyone to we're still under the executive order. It's personally, I think it's going to change, but right now, if you read the executive order, it just talks about collegiate.
I thought youth sports were included in that, Mr. Sarlo.
For indoor and outdoor. I'm sorry?
I thought youth sports were included in the revision to the executive order.
See that one? I'm only looking at the one that came out today.
This is 220, Executive Order 220.
Yeah, I believe it was.
And it
changed.
It does says all
Another one that came
non-collegiate
out
and
that I didn't see.
non-professional athletic practices.
Parents are in high school gyms too, so.
Yeah, that's 220 is the executive order.
Okay, so maybe the one I have is, okay, 225 I'm looking at. So I didn't see 220. Okay, I'll take a look at it. But yeah, that's great. That's good news.
If we're talking about the outdoor sports, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. So
is
why don't we
anything
hold
happening
off
over the
on
next
the
2 weeks?
resolution and return to the speakers while
Good,
Mr.
okay.
Sarlo has a quick.
Withdraw what I
review
said
of
then, don't
this.
worry.
All right.
Mayor, you don't need a resolution in that, the executive order. If it allows it, it allows it. You're bound by that executive
Oh,
order,
good.
so.
All right. So very good then.
I don't think the resolution is going to be necessary.
Yeah, so we said even last time when we had talked about it, that when it comes to parents attending, we're going to stick with what the executive order is. It was 25 limit, everybody included at the time. If that has changed, then we will certainly go along with whatever the change is.
Excellent. Councilman Kanigo, I'm going to turn this back to you.
So we have a few people with their hands raised, so I was going to go to Brian Yandel next. Brian, if you want to speak.
I'm back again, 238 Monroe Avenue, Brian Yandel. Obviously, I'm in full support of Mr. Artori's statements. My concern is obviously over this mask mandate, which is not required by the state, but as Mr. Artori said, is right now required by the Borough of River Edge. We got an email from Regal that said signups for spring sports are due March 3rd. Your next council meeting is not till March 8th. So basically, we're guessing whether or not we want to sign our children up. And then if you guys change your guidelines, well, okay, we either adapt or we drop out or it's too late to sign up. I've heard the council president's opinion on this. It's been very clear. That's fine. I don't agree with it. I respect his opinion. I'm just wondering if anyone else on the council has an opinion with regard to this, or is that even allowed to be asked?
Right, of course, it's allowed to be asked and everybody in the council can speak, but since you keep coming at me and you keep implying that there's some sort of like nefarious situation here, I'm going to address it.
Well, I didn't do that.
My opinion was supported by facts, by scientific studies, and I spent quite a bit of time reading it all. Why don't you tell me what scientific studies, what doctors' opinions you have that say that wearing masks in any way has negative consequences on sports? Let's start that way.
Again, you seem to like getting defensive when I just state what you stated. That is your opinion. And I said, I respect that opinion. I have a different opinion. Am I allowed to have a different opinion? Am I allowed to have a
That's fine.
different
So
opinion?
I'd like to hear where you're getting this opinion. What is it based on?
The state does not mandate masks for outdoor sports.
It recommends them, correct. It recommends masks.
And again, we're the only town that I know of. So you have your opinion, which is fine. I'm wondering if the council shares your opinion with regard to this. Hypothetically, there's something coming out called Regal Runners. Based on the ordinance, if I want my daughter to do Regal Runners, she's going to be running with a mask on. Correct? Yes, I'll take that as a yes.
Well, I mean, we've already talked about it. Currently, there's a mask mandate. So yes, it is correct. And
So
I've explained where the mask mandate comes from. You may not agree with it. It's not my opinion. It's the opinion of doctors. It's the opinions of scientists, not mine. I'm not a doctor or a scientist. I did the reading and I came up with a solution that I thought was right. Okay, but it's not just me, it's the rest of the council. And we have talked about the fact that it is going to be revisited. So yes, you have to make the decision as to whether to sign up your daughter for running. I'm sure your daughter's not going to mind running with the mask. Most of the kids
She absolutely will not run with a mask on.
Most of the kids who ran in the fall didn't mind, and they ran with masks on the Regal Runners. Okay,
And it was mandated. It wasn't mandated in the fall.
Council President Kanigo, may I have the floor for a moment?
Of course.
Fantastic. I don't want to step in front of any resident, but I feel like we've been asked to have other council comment. So I was part of the COVID committee and we worked very hard since March. But I want the members of the public and those here tonight to know that my opinion when we were asked by Director Baldanza about return to play was to go with the state guidelines. I listened carefully to Council President Kanigo, and though I disagreed with his plan, I respected his position and went along with it, knowing that we would revisit the plan on a regular basis, which we're doing now. But I am going to go on the record now and say that I believe that we should not be more restrictive than the state guidelines, which was my original opinion, and that I believe that we should remove the mask during play requirement. And I think that we should encourage participants to wear a mask if their personal risk tolerance guides them in that direction. There's no stigma in wearing a mask. However, I don't think we should be more restrictive than the state guideline. And I would be willing to make a motion to remove the mask during play requirement. Thank you.
Is there is there any other?
Mayor, I would like to make a comment.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to say that I know the governor and the people in the state health department have worked very, very hard to come up with their guidelines. And I know that it's their full-time job and their #1 priority to keep all of us as safe as possible. There have been times over the past year where we've had state shutdowns that at times various parts of the public were very against. They were, there were protests and whatnot, but still the governor did what he thought was right to make sure that, that what he felt the best thing to do as far as safety was, based on the recommendations from the state health department, which I have confidence in. I know people from the state health department and I respect their opinions. So I would agree with Councilwoman Bastide.
At this point, we now have, it has not been formally moved and seconded, but it sits on the table for discussion. So I need from the council some direction. Does the council wish to entertain a motion at this time, or does the council wish to hear from more speakers? So I'm going to do an informal poll. Councilman Kinigo, do you wish to entertain a motion, or do you wish to hear from the public at greater length at this time?
I'm not done speaking, and I certainly want to hear from the public.
Okay, so we're going to go.
Mayor, I'm fine with that as well, and I would also like to add that if we could postpone the date that people would have to sign up for sports by, we could always postpone till next meeting this subject.
We can do that, but let's first do the informal polling. Councilman Bastide, do you wish to hear more from the public or entertain a resolution?
I'm more than happy to hear from the public, but I don't believe that I need the permission of the council to enter a motion. But I'm more than happy to hear from the public who's
You absolutely
spent a lot of
Councilwoman Bastide, but we are currently in open session, so
understood.
we have to close if we're going to, and then we can
I'm
reopen.
more than happy to hear from the public if they'd like to continue to speak. Absolutely.
All right, Councilwoman Kaufman.
Okay, so John Milnes.
No, Councilwoman Kaufman. Do you wish to stay in open to the public and hear more from the public, or do you wish to close and entertain a resolution?
I think we should hear everyone who has their hand raised.
Councilwoman Kinsella.
Yes, I would agree. I think it's important to hear from the public.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
No objections to hearing from the public at this point.
All right, so Councilwoman Kaufman and Council President, if you could continue to moderate this, that would be great. Thank you.
So John Milnes, if you wanted to speak.
Hi, thanks, John Milnes, 410 Mercer Ave, River Edge. I'm also the past Riverdale Junior Football president. And I appreciate everything that you guys are doing, for the kids and for the town. I really, the biggest question first comes in, how does this affect Riverdale sports? Between lacrosse and football, obviously, I have, interest in both. Trying to wear a mask when it comes to lacrosse or football with the headgear and the mouthpiece becomes an issue. And I know that we said that we're going to kind of revisit that, but we have lacrosse already starting. I'm not too worried about football. Football we have in the fall. And by that time it's gonna be different than it is today. But really, right now, it would be lacrosse. How does that affect lacrosse where kids are starting to practice. Obviously with the snow, it's a little bit difficult, but I have River Edge and Oradell. Oradell does not have this requirement. River Edge does. We play mainly at DPAC. How are we supposed to manage this? And I just came out of the season of kind of mandating it, with our coaches, with our parents, self-policing, doing all of that. And luckily we had a very successful season. We had no issues, no problems. We actually just went through a flag season where we had 256 kids sign up, and between the coaches, again, with the coaches and the parents, where all the parents, all the coaches, everyone wore their masks. Kids, it was up to them. Some kids showed up with masks, some kids don't. It was completely up to what the parents or the children felt comfortable with. And we've luckily had a very successful 2 seasons full of fall season of football and then a winter season of flag. But now coming into the spring and going into lacrosse, how should we be handling it if this does stay the way it is?
So let me just say this. It really depends on how the council comes down with Councilwoman Bastide's vote later. If the council removes the mask mandate, then it's a non-issue and you don't have to worry about it. If the council doesn't remove the mask mandate, the next step I was going to propose was to talk about sport by sport. Frankly, with the lacrosse players and the football players wearing mouth guards, the transmission concerns are not there to the same level as basketball players defending in each other's faces. Let's see where the vote goes, and then we can take that next question. But as far as I'm concerned, I would be okay removing it from football and lacrosse because of the mouth guards that they wear in the first place. And I certainly would be okay with removing it from certain aspects of the softball players. The ones standing out in the outfield wouldn't necessarily need to wear masks all the time, and I think we can come up with a compromise. When there's nobody on base, for example, a second baseman doesn't need to be wearing the mask. But if somebody's standing next to somebody for a few minutes while there's a batter attempting to hit at the plate, then perhaps the second baseman does wear the mask for those few minutes and then takes it off. So I think there's ways that we can go about it. And frankly, the COVID committee had discussed, and originally the direction was supposed to be that there were certain positions that were going to be wearing masks at certain times in baseball and softball, but that kind of got lost in the shuffle. As far as how we're going to enforce it when you're playing in Oradell, again, we're not, that's going to be up to you guys. But as far as lacrosse and football are concerned, I think that we can make, we can craft the resolution in such a way that they don't have to. But certainly the second you go back on the sidelines, you should be wearing the masks, when they're not running around, when they're sitting and huddling together, as my son has played lacrosse, and that's what they do afterwards. When they're on the sidelines, they should be wearing masks, but that's up to you guys to enforce. Again, no police is being sent down with batons to beat you guys into submission.
Understood. Thank you.
We had Beth, can you go next? Beth.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say, I'm the president of Regal, Beth Keenigo, 445 Windsor Road. My board and I discussed this at length the other night, being that we run several different programs. We run softball, basketball, runners. We have other sports that we haven't been able to run for over a year because they're indoor. So we totally understand, parents' concern on this. We did send out a survey to all of our parents regarding outdoor basketball and softball, and we received over 90 responses for each survey. The overwhelming majority of people said that they would play with this mandate in place. I personally received no emails asking me about this policy. We received maybe a couple of other informal emails to another board member or two. And obviously I support this. I was thinking about what Councilwoman Bastide said in regards to everyone's personal risk tolerance. And I understand that some people have more risk, some people have less risk. But when we're talking about children, I feel that it is in the best interest of the council and the town and our insurance and the people, the volunteers who run these leagues, for us to do our best to protect the children. And we don't know what the long-term effects on a child contracting COVID is. So for me, I feel it's best to err on the side of caution and protect them as much as possible. If person A's risk tolerance is, I don't care about COVID and I'm going to do whatever I want, well, then that person is walking on the field and mingling with the same person who says, I've signed up because I believe that masks are important and you guys said masks would play. So going to Mr. Yandel's comment, it goes both ways. Whether you're deciding to sign a child up for whatever you're doing, you're constantly making those decisions. I personally didn't have my children play after July of last year. I felt that the risk was too high because there was no masks required. People were asked to wear them. In terms of Regal Runners last year, we did run a short 4-week program back in the fall. The coaches were really very much encouraging for the girls to wear masks. All the girls wore masks. They were given mask breaks and they're running, In terms of our softball program, we did not really require masks during play, but we were stringent about mask use on the sidelines. And I think that worked out well. We ran some basketball clinics in the fall, and the coach that ran them, it was Lindsay Steffner from the high school. She was pretty adamant that the girls wear masks. She didn't tell them that they absolutely had to, but she encouraged them with every sense of the being because she wore them. She modeled wearing the mask. And you know what? Most of the girls ended up putting on masks and wearing a mask for the duration of the practice, even though they were socially distanced. So, just speaking as someone who has been watching this happening for almost a year now, I feel that there are definitely sports that they probably aren't needed. They lend themselves to social distancing, something like softball. However, something like basketball, when we're talking about people guarding each other, if you're doing it properly, you should be able to smell what the person had for lunch, right? If I can smell what you had for lunch, you're also breathing on me and your spit is getting in my face. I may not feel it, but you're definitely breathing on me. And I feel that in that instance that we really should be, we're the adults in the room. We're not the children. The kids may not want to wear masks, but we're the ones that are out there for their safety. And even though it's not required by the state, maybe perhaps our elected officials are actually looking out more for us than taking the political concerns of the state into consideration. So I just wanted to say that. And, obviously I'm very grateful for everyone on this council. I know how hard you all work and how difficult a decision this was for everyone. And I thank you for your time.
We next had Joe Armental.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I just want to make a quick comment regarding something that was said earlier about the possibility of tabling the vote for next meeting. With our deadlines of March 3rd, if we push back our deadlines any further, that puts us in a very serious bind with respects to scheduling, because we are scheduling with a lot of other teams for softball, and that will put us even further behind the 8 ball. So whichever way we go, look, we're going to do whatever the mayor and council decide to put out there with respects to a resolution. My personal opinion is that there is a fantastic model that has been working for tens of thousands of kids in the NJSIAA that does not require masks. As an athletic director, we're constantly harping all the great things that Beth had just mentioned. But to require them during play, during running is, Dario, no, I don't have any of the articles and the science, but it's out there at hand. But it's out there that it doesn't hurt. It doesn't help kids to be running, especially with Regal Runners, to be running with a mask on. It just doesn't make sense. It put kids at the risk. We're not saying that to remove the mandate would be beneficial in my eyes, but definitely harp on it when they are not engaged in physical activity to wear them and to socially distance. But when you're in the heat of battle, put them on. You can take them off and let that be the parent's decision or the kid's decision at the end of the day. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, we have one more, Ken Schaffenhauer, if you want to speak.
Thank you very much. Let me lower my hand here. First of all, I think somebody hacked Joe Armental's picture. That's 2001 Joe Armental. So we got to get Joe back with a regular picture. I have another comment that I'll say, but to address the topic at hand, to me, it just seemed a little bit of a disconnect where in one moment we're discussing as far as to supersede the state's executive order by requiring the players and participants to wear masks. But on the other hand, I believe I timed it at a millisecond where the moment it was talked about as far as the parents being allowed as spectators, it was, well, if it's good enough for, if that's what the executive order is, we'll go along with that. Basically, the number that you've introduced into it now, so you're going to have your 25 sports participants, and then you've added 50 more, the potential of 50 more people at that event, but no one seemed to have a problem with that. So I think it's just a little, as I said, a disconnect as far as, are we ultra vigilant, or it's like, I'm just trying to understand the reasoning behind one.
It's two separate issues. It's two separate issues. So, I mean, we can take one at a time. One is about wearing masks when you're playing sports, when you're running, when you're spitting in somebody else's face. And I don't mean poo spitting. I mean, there is particles coming out of your mouth, and that spreads COVID. The other is parents standing on the sidelines, socially distanced, wearing masks, and not doing these things. So those are two completely separate things. And we're allowed to say, no, parents still can't do that if we wanted to. That's within our prerogative, but we're not doing that because we're not trying to be mean here. We're not trying to impose, or at least I'm not. I'm not trying to impose, some draconian guidelines. When everybody is done making their comments, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to give you guys a little more, and I want you guys to take a look at what I'm saying and actually visually see what it is that I'm talking about. And it'll be explained in a few minutes, and you'll understand where I'm going with this. But I have the high ground in that I'm backed by the scientists and the doctors, without question. There's a lot of opinions. I get it. Okay, my kids don't want to wear a mask when they're playing these sports. Okay, but I will make them. Okay, because it makes them safer. The tragedy of all this is that if I wear a mask, you are safer for it. If you're not wearing a mask, my mask is not going to stop the little spittle that's going to come out from your mouth from hitting my eyes, which is a mucous membrane, and that's where the COVID is going to come in. So my wearing a mask protects you. You not wearing a mask does not protect me, puts me in danger. So for Councilwoman to say, well, it's okay if you want to be a little safer, you wear a mask and I'll take it and not wear a mask, that's a little disingenuous, because the truth of the matter is the only way that we really protect each other is if we both wear masks. If I wear a mask and you don't, well, I've got a slightly better level of protection. And this has been shown over and over and over and over. So that's a different argument. So if you're asking me about the 25 parent limit, I didn't really agree with that 25 person outdoor limit. I think that was put into place because people were having numerous parties and events and so forth without wearing masks. But the mask wearing requirement is still going to be there for the parents when they go and watch their kids play outside, if that's what the executive order says. And that's where that went. So those are two separate and apart. Okay, so if you want to talk about the one, yes, we're going to follow that. If you're going to talk about the other one, we're having a different discussion.
Yeah. Well, Darry, you break it down and say it's two different issues. To me, I look at the broader picture. It's one issue. It's safety. So if you want to break it down and say it's two different issues, but to me, it's all one big issue. So, but I know we will differ on that. So I will go back to the listening portion of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken, and you know I respect you and your opinion as well, so
Thank you, Dario.
appreciate it.
I don't see any other hands raised right now. I do know we have a lot of people that were asked to join. If anyone else wants to raise their hand.
I know we have some other heads of league. We've heard from Beth for Regal. I know Regal is of different opinions. Joe also was with Regal who spoke about it. I see other people. I don't want to call you out, but you know, basketball, little league. You guys want to talk? Mike Koth.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mike Koth, 159 Tenney Ave. I'm the president of Riverdale Junior Football. Kind of just jumping into this midstream. I don't have much research. I don't claim to be an expert. Just wanted to ask some questions just to get some clarity on the process and the steps that have been taken so far. I heard reference to a council COVID committee. Who comprises that committee? Who's on the committee?
That was disbanded at the last meeting. However, it was the mayor, Councilwoman Bastide, and myself, and it was to address emergencies where we couldn't get the council together to make decisions. It started back in March of 2020 when the pandemic really hit us, and it continued until last meeting when it was formally disbanded.
Okay. So I know other references have been made to a lot of research that has been done. Has anyone consulted with a doctor on this stuff?
Not consulted, but I will talk about that in a minute.
How about an athletic trainer?
Not consulted, but I will talk about that in a minute.
Okay. The Board of Health?
Yes.
Okay. And then has any consideration been given if we're considering requiring kids to wear masks while playing? Any consideration been given to restrictions on airflow or breathing?
Yes, and I will talk about that in a minute as well. And those three main subjects are what I was going to address when I share the screen.
Okay. Thank you. I just want to, I know one of the previous speakers had cited, I'm also a school administrator in the high school level. No high schools at this time in the state of New Jersey are requiring anyone to wear masks during play, right, wrong, or indifferent. They've done an extensive amount of research and work at the state level in consultation with coaches, athletic directors, doctors, athletic trainers, certified athletic trainers. Things have been going well, and we had an experience in Riverdale Junior Football that my colleague John had expressed during the fall, and fortunate enough during the winter, where we had a transmission rate of 0, and we did not require players to wear masks during play. So just ask that you give that some consideration, and thank you everyone for your time and all the attention you're giving to this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you for all you do for the kids as well.
Dan Sansevier?
Yes, can everybody hear me?
Hi, Dan.
Hi, how are you? Dan Sansevier, Vice President Regal. I've been tasked with.
Dan, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you are required to give your address for the record.
Okay, address is 564 Elm Avenue. And again, I am the Vice President of Regal. I've been tasked with the recommendation to address this sport by sport. I do agree with that. Obviously, I do share Beth's concern with the proximity of basketball players. However, softball is a different element, and I think we should consult with each director of the sport and come up with the best way to address the situation. However, I do not believe that the mask mandate should be mandatory. We have other health concerns. I know to be addressed with a doctor's note. My daughter herself, she is asthmatic, and I do have concerns with her wearing a mask all the time while in play. If we give the parents the option, I feel that's a better alternative. We had high success with softball last year with the way we handled it. Again, we put together our own little task force and our own guidelines for that, and it turned out pretty well. If you guys excuse me, I'm standing outside in the cold, so if I say it sound a little shaky, I apologize. So that's where my opinion is at. That's how I feel, and I'll sit and listen to the rest of it.
Thanks, Dan.
I think Kevin Lopresti had a question or a comment.
Yes, Kevin Lopresti, 151 Valley Road. I am a part of the Rec Commission and also a part of Little League. We, for Little League, had a successful summer and fall program. We did not have the children wear masks on the field of play, but we did enforce on the sidelines. And we did encourage parents, if they were not 6 feet, to wear a mask. So we had that, and we were very successful with our program doing that. So I just wanted to add that because I know, Dario, I know you were saying that the players should wear it on the sideline, and I think most leagues would agree and didn't really have a problem enforcing that. I don't want to speak for other leagues, but I don't think that was an issue. So that's just my 2 cents. One other thing I just noticed, if we're having a sporting event on the baseball field, and 5 feet over there's the basketball court, and there's people from other towns on our basketball court running. I know that's not youth, and they may not be youth all the time, but that is a very big risk of spreading the virus in town also. So I don't know. That's just something I've seen in town, where people from other towns are coming in and playing on our new basketball courts and without masks, obviously. So I don't know. That's just an observation I've made that I would like you guys to know about. I'm sure you've seen it too. Some people have seen that also. That's all I had to say.
I didn't know that people from other towns were playing on our courts. I've seen people play on our courts that I didn't recognize, but I don't pretend. Like
I'm not pretending either. But when I see on days like Dumont baseball or New Milford basketball shirt, I'm assuming they're not from here. I'm not saying I know for a fact. I'm just kind of putting 2 and 2 together.
I'm not sure what, if anything, we can do about it, but I have no problem looking into it, seeing if we can do something about it.
Jennifer Campanile.
Hi, it's actually Jennifer Theodorakis. I guess I used my work account. I apologize. 289 Howland. I am the director of rec basketball for Regal. I did want to speak to Councilman Gaudier's concern about changing the deadline. I would concur with what Mr. Armental said, and that we will not be able to change that deadline if we want to start the programs on time. So it would be helpful if we could have some sort of resolution to this as soon as possible. And I also did want to address what was brought up earlier about there being potential for kids not to play. At the moment, Regal is not running travel sports because of this mask mandate. And that is due to concern that other towns will not be able to comply. And so there are kids who are going to miss out on that experience because of that. And that also could end up bleeding over into Blackhawks, lacrosse, anything that involves other towns. So I personally, as a parent, think that we should follow the state guidelines. As a Regal board member, we will comply with whatever the town puts in place. But as a coach, I have seen the players be very accommodating with wearing the masks on the sidelines. I do have extreme discomfort with mandating something that there is just not enough proof about the negative impact. I absolutely know the positive impact of wearing masks. My daughter wears one when she plays, but that's a personal decision. We don't know that there are not negative impacts of wearing a mask. There's just not enough long-term studies for that. And if a kid has an asthma attack, a panic attack, are we then liable because we mandated them to wear the mask? So as a coach, I have a concern on that. But I think that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, John. No, you don't have to worry about the liability. And there actually are a lot of studies out there, but I'm going to address that a little more in a few minutes.
And next is Rob Berninger. Rob, if you want to speak.
Yes, Rob Berninger, 205 Madison Avenue, Commissioner of River Edge Baseball, past president of River Edge Little League. I just wanted to kind of duplicate what Kevin had said, that we ran a pretty successful program in the summer and the fall. I believe it was a 0% as far as any cases that were passed from any of the players. We did mandate when they were in the dugouts that they were spread not only in the dugouts, but in the bleachers, and were to wear masks when they were not in the field of play. I feel it's the parents, if they choose for some of their children to wear a mask while they're playing, and there were some players that did play in the field with a mask, that should be their choice. And also, I wanted to speak as an official, because I believe this mandate would cover officials as well. Not being in the best shape of my life, but as an umpire wearing a mask after running to trail a play, it would kind of hinder me. I would have to take the mask off and back off into the outfield just to kind of catch my breath. So we may have a concern of officials if we mandate that they have to wear masks, and we may have a limited field or available officials with that.
Well, we're talking about the kids, and the officials and the coaches always have to wear the masks. So they should be wearing the masks anyway.
The mandate for umpires is they did not have to wear masks. They were encouraged to wear masks.
In town, they had to wear a mask. But anyway, this is about the mandate for the players.
Yeah. Okay.
Anthony Colama.
Well, before Anthony, I'm sorry, Anthony. Rob, how many teams did you field this summer?
It was travel teams. We probably had.
Rob, can I jump in? Do you mind?
Yes, please, Kevin, travel coordinator.
All right, so we did have a modified.
Kevin, I'm sorry, but
I'm sorry.
You have to give us name and address again.
Oh, sorry. I'll repeat it. Sorry. Kevin Lopresti, 151 Valley Road. I'm just following up with this question. So in the summer, we did a modified rec program in which we had a 3rd and 4th grade division, and we had a 5th and 6th grade division. We did not do the younger kids for the rec program because we didn't feel like we were comfortable enough putting that on the coaches. We didn't know much about the virus, so with the separation and the 6 feet. So we had I think we had 5 teams of 10 in the 3rd and 4th grade division, and I think 4 teams of 10 in the 5th and 6th grade division. And then we also had travel teams. We had a 9U team in the summer. We had 2 10U teams in the summer, an 11U team and a 12U team in the summer. And in the fall, we didn't have as many teams. We had we actually opened it up for the younger kids. So we had an 8U team in the fall, travel team, and we had 2 11U teams, and that was and a 13U team in the fall. So we had 4 teams in the fall. Again, we mandated masks on the sideline. We had our dugouts. We actually taped off the bleachers too, so parents were not allowed to sit in the bleachers. Those were for both teams. They had X's to sit on, so they were spread out and with masks in the dugout. But on the field of play, it was not required, although some of the players did wear them.
I think you did a good job, Kevin.
Thank you. And other teams, every time we had a home game, me personally, I'm also a head travel coach. I would have to email the teams, like I would say to them, this is your bleacher. You have these X's that the kids have to sit on. your parents have to spread out and wear masks along the right field line. So there were directions that were given to other towns when it was the travel program.
All right. Thanks, Kevin.
No problem.
Anthony.
Hi, Anthony Coleyama, 80 Gates Avenue, boys basketball league administrator. I just want to kind of piggyback what Jen was, the points that Jen had brought up. I am more in the favor of for sure leaving it up to the parents as a personal decision, whether their player wants to wear the mask on the basketball court or they don't. We ran a successful fall. Well, just going back to Jen's point about the travel. I did reach out today to the head of our normal travel league, who is anticipating having a spring season. As I think, as Beth brought up and as Jen brought up, we were not able to have an indoor travel season as the board would not let us, obviously for good reason, into the schools to have our normal rec and travel season. So the official announcement was we are postponing spring, summer rec travel. However, what Jen said is definitely a big obstacle. So I spoke to the head of the travel league, and we are the only town that has this mandate of all the towns that he spoke to. And he, of course, he could encourage a town that, is on our schedule to, come play, but he can come play and have all their kids wear masks, but he cannot force them to do that. Obviously, that's an obvious statement. So therefore that team can opt and say, we don't want to play River Edge. On the other side, you can play an all away type of schedule. But to me, we have these brand new resurfaced courts to just go send parents to every single town. And we can't even use these beautiful courts for our own kids. To me, that just wouldn't make a lot of sense. So on that aspect, like I said, I agree with Jen. And I do agree with the state mandate. And also, we did run a successful fall program for basketball. Masks were optional. And to Kevin's point, same with baseball, kids are encouraged to enter, not encouraged, but mandated to enter the park with their mask, check in at a table, get their hands cleaned, have their temperature taken, and then they could enter the court of play. And then as they leave, same exact thing. There are indoor youth basketball leagues going on right now as we speak. As of right now, they're still going on and they're adding parents. They're not canceling these leagues. They're adding parents to this scenario. So I just in short, we had 0 cases, 0 transmission in this fall clinic with kids playing basketball. Playing defense in some settings. We did not do full scrimmages. We did not do a 5-on-5 type of, but we did do 3-on-3 competition with kids playing defense without masks. And we did not have any transmission cases. So that's just my opinion, 2 cents. And again, I thank the council for all their hard work. Thank you.
Thanks, Anthony. And thanks for all you do as well. Just one thing I do want to point out here to the council and to everybody who's watching. I keep hearing this, you guys are going well beyond what the state is saying. That's not true. The state is recommending that the kids wear masks. They're not requiring it. And why they're not requiring it is beyond me. Okay, because it is clear that the masks stop transmission. And anybody who argues otherwise is just not paying attention. So recommend does not mean that you shouldn't wear it. They're recommended, including playing sports in active competition. Why they're not requiring it, I don't know. Politics. I'm not doing this decision based on politics. Obviously, judging by everybody who's here, who's coming at me, you guys don't agree with me. But I'm still sticking to my guns because I believe this is the right thing to do. Because I believe this is going to stop the transmission amongst our kids. Today, we got another notice from Cherry Hill. 2 more kids got it. Okay, it's out there, and the kids are getting it. And Jennifer, with all due respect to you, there is a lot of research out there, and I think that perhaps Councilwoman Montesano-Cohen might want to speak to this a little bit later. There is a lot of research out there that says that what can happen to kids is not so minor. I touched upon it at the last meeting about the lungs, about the heart. about paralysis and different syndromes that can happen. And recently on Fox News, there's been an article about what's happening to kids more recently as this pandemic is proceeding. So the data is out there and it's scary. And that's what is propelling me forward in this respect. I want the kids to wear masks because I want them to be safe and I don't want them to get sick. And I don't want them to have things down the line. The fact that, Anthony, there's no transmission during the clinics this fall, I think that's great. I honestly and respectfully, I don't believe that you can actually say for a fact that it didn't happen because you didn't follow and people are not being honest with what's happening. When people are getting sick, they're staying quiet and keeping it to themselves. And the only notice that we get is from the school saying that the school is either shut down or there's been a person and they weren't in the school since February 12th or whatever it is. And therefore we don't have to shut down. And then we don't know who it is or what it is. And we don't know if the parents are keeping their kids home or if they're going away on vacation. We just have no way of knowing that. But, you know, we've been fortunate so far. That doesn't mean that our fortune is going to keep going. So when you say to me that, you know, you guys are way overstepping your bounds, the state is not requiring it, you're right, the state is not requiring it, but they are recommending it, okay? As is every doctor out there, every doctor out there. All right, and I'll speak more to that in a little bit. Michelle, perhaps if somebody else wants to speak.
We have two more. Dean Rayside, if you'd like to tell us your address.
Hi, Dean Rayside, 224 Madison Avenue. I appreciate the opportunity to speak and thank you all for your time and dedication to the town and to this issue. I definitely understand that it's a tough situation, something that probably nobody, you know, when they took this office or any of these positions that we're in right now thought that they were going to be making these kinds of decisions. I'm the travel softball director for Regal. I certainly didn't think that I would be having to deal with this when I took this position. So I know it's unenviable for everyone, but I just wanted to echo what others have said already. You know, personally, I think leaving it in the parents' hands is the way that I would do it. From the travel softball perspective, just to echo what Jen said, it concerns me that, you know, that opportunity might be taken away from our kids with mandating the mask mandate for people from other towns coming to our town. So that's a concern that I have. I guess just a couple of things. I am a little bit late to the meeting, so a couple of things that I wanted to know. How is this decision going to be made? Because my understanding again was that, you know, the COVID committee put out this recommendation. That's no longer a thing. So has that been discussed, like how this decision is going to end up being made, first of all?
So Council President, if you don't mind. So the decision came about at the last council meeting, and it requires the council to act again to change it. So right now, the policy that's in place remains in place unless the council should decide to amend or remove it.
Okay, so I guess, I don't know, I guess, well, all right, whatever. I guess if it's amendable, then it is what it is, but it sounds like, you know, the council, although it's now defunct, did end up overall making this decision for us. You know, it sounds like everybody that spoke here is, you know, in favor of allowing the parents to choose, I guess. And really, I'm not sure where the rest of the council stands. All I've heard is from Dario, President Chinigo, about his stance. I'm not really sure where the rest of the council stands on this, and I'm not sure if we're going to hear that. But
Dean, we have heard from Councilman Gaudier. We have heard from Councilman Bastide.
Okay.
We may, once we close to the public, entertain a motion, or we may not. Other members of the council, I would assume, might want to share their position before the council decides whether or not it wishes to revise or to end the policy. But right now, the way this has been designed by the state of New Jersey, this is open public comments. Now I've allowed dialogue back and forth. That's why I allowed Council President Kanigo to kind of moderate this, because this is a type of thing where some dialogue is extremely helpful. But under the strictest rules, the public would make statements and the council would not respond.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. That makes sense. And again, like I said, I'm a little late to the meeting, so I apologize for not hearing the other ones. I just do have one other quick thing, something that President Kanigo said when I think when Jen Theodorakis was speaking. She said that she was worried about the liability of having the kids wear masks, and he said that we as coaches wouldn't have to worry about that liability. But then why are we concerned with the liability of the kids contracting COVID?
So let me deal with that too. So we are covered by the Joint Insurance Fund, which is a subgroup of the MEL, and that's a state fund. We are regularly, all of our policies and procedures are regularly reviewed by our agent and by our borough BA, she and Carolyn Baldanza, our director. So you are protected in general from any sort of legal action unless you stray from the policies stated by the council. So if you did not enforce, or if you acted, and this is true for the council too, if the council should act outside of the decisions of the council, then of course the liability shield may be pierced, but in general you are protected.
Oh, okay. So I mean, I guess I don't know. I'm just trying to think of the logic here of it. So let's say that the council says that we are not to, have this mask mandate, but then, well, I guess then it would be a choice. Forget it. I'll yield my time back there. Thank you. Thank you for the time.
You don't have to worry about liability if you follow whatever rules the council puts into place. That's what it comes down to.
And the last raised hand is Tony Arturi. Tony, state your address again.
Oh, I'm stating my address into the mute button. Sorry. Tony Arturi, 171 Manning Avenue, River Edge, New Jersey. So just one last thing from me, I promise. Councilman Kanigo indicated he didn't understand it, and I regret that he's kind of expressing sort of an embattled situation. It shouldn't be personal, and it's not.
I'm not taking it as personal, Tony.
Good. So the state didn't understand why the state wasn't following the science, of which I think you're intending to present some more. And believe me, I do feel pretty well informed on the science.
That's not what I said, though, Tony. That's not what I said.
What did you say? What did you say? You said politics.
It's recommended, and I didn't understand why it's not required. Okay.
Right, but you said it was maybe politics. I don't know. I'm almost certain you said that.
That's correct.
Okay. And what I would argue, I would present, is that ignoring the politics when we're talking about local laws and regulations is not taking a holistic view of the situation. That it's actually by intent that we have representatives who make these rules for us, who are supposed to balance all of these things. So you're going to put the balance, you in this case, I think, and others on the council, but the COVID committee at one time anyway, put the balance wholly on the side of sound science, which is, not assailable in a sense that you can't say, oh, my science is more accurate or something. I'm not presenting alternate science. What I'm arguing is the state's taking a more holistic view and has balanced the risks and community concerns and come up with a policy that applies statewide, that everybody is well informed on. I can't argue that it's not safer to, and I appreciate that you're making the other person safe by wearing a mask. It's safer, but a balanced view that the state and all of its resources has come up with is to have the return to play policy that they have. River Edge, by taking their own unique policy without own unique conditions, now is in the business of maintaining this policy. And I don't think it's really a balanced policy, as I would argue the state's is. That's all I got. Thanks.
I respectfully disagree that the state's policy when it comes to not requiring masks is in fact balanced or in the best interest of your children.
Oh, I lied. I got one more thing. I also just want to know, I'm not even opposed to the existence of the COVID committee. I think it's reasonable to have one. I just don't think River Edge has a unique set of rules because we don't have a unique set of conditions here that would call for them. I understand why these institutional things exist. I understand that everybody needs to protect the institutions themselves. But in this case, the state has rules. You know, I've said it again. Thanks.
I'm gonna go back to again. It's recommended. That's a state's position.
And we can all follow, that recommendation, which is short of a mandate.
Right. I understand. It's recommended. And this council, which is an elected council, elected by the people to make these decisions, has decided that in this instance, it's mandated. And perhaps by the end of the meeting, it's no longer going to be mandated. But, you know, for you to say that elected official, yes, but this elected official, no, there's different states that mandate. I read you the list. 20 states do mandate it. So this state happens not to. Those people vetted it and mandated it. You know, to Mike Coth's point earlier, perhaps there aren't any high schools here in New Jersey that mandate it. There's a lot of colleges that mandate it. What about that? They mandate their players on the courts to wear masks when playing sports and in competitions. So yes, there are arguments on both sides. My argument is going to safeguard children's safety. Your argument is going to leave it up to the parents, which I understand, and I'm not into taking away parental rights, please. You know, don't paint me with that brush, okay? But your argument is going to say, chances are it's not going to happen. I'm going to reduce the incidence as much as possible. You're going to leave it up to, hopefully, that the travel team that comes into River Edge, they haven't been partying somewhere else and spread it to the children. So, you know, I'm taking the safest position, which I get. But it's not absolutism as in that article that you offered. It clearly isn't. It is specific to certain sports at certain times. And that's what we're going to discuss if we stay on this path. And if Councilwoman Bastides makes the motion again later and the motion is voted in favor of her position as opposed to my position, so be it. Look, I've made my point, and I've provided the evidence, and I've provided the council with opportunity to review it, and I can sleep comfortably at night. And you know, reasonable minds can differ. But before we end and before we vote, I will be showing a few more things that I think are important to talk about. But I want everybody to have an opportunity to speak. And by the way, I count you all, because everybody who's spoken, I know personally, and I count you all as friends, and I respect you greatly. So just because I disagree with you doesn't mean that I don't respect your position, doesn't mean that I don't respect what you're saying, and doesn't mean that I think that you're not coming at it from a point of view of you know, wanting what's best for everybody, because I think we all are. We just disagree on this one point.
So there are no more raised hands.
All right. In that case, we need to close to the public. Councilman Kinigo has expressed that he wishes to make a presentation, and then the council shall consider whether it wishes to amend, to abolish, or to sustain the current policy. So I need a motion from, let's have a motion who, in my order of things, can I have a motion from Councilman Gaudier and a second from Councilwoman Bastide to close to the public.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. This is a non-debatable vote. Roll call.
Councilwoman Bastide?
Yes.
Councilman Kinigo?
Yes.
Councilman Gaudier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cohen.
Yes.
Okay, so the procedure I've kind of laid out, I'm going to start with Councilman Canigo, and I'm going to go through all members of council on whatever opinion or comments they wish to make, or if they wish to abstain from making opinions and comments. Then we will see if we have a motion on the floor to be considered. Council President Canigo.
Thank you, Mayor. And first of all, thank you to everybody who has spoken and given their thoughts and opinions. It is very much appreciated. It's appreciated what you do for the town and the fact that you've taken time out to sit with us and discuss this with us. I also want to thank my council members for your indulgence and your patience throughout. Everybody on this council works hard, thinks about the issues very hard, and I know that everybody makes the best decision possible with the evidence that they have. I'm going to share my screen and just kind of talk about a couple of things because they were brought up as you know, where are you getting this from, and is this just your opinion? I don't believe it is. This is the American Academy of Pediatrics. Their about page. 67,000 pediatricians committed to the optical, physical, mental, and social health and well-being for all infants, children, and adolescents and young adults. On the end of last year, they gave opinion. I think I have to stop sharing and then reshare in order to get to the next page, so bear with me for a second. At the end of the last year, they issued guidance for when face coverings should be worn and under what circumstances. Cloth face coverings have been shown to decrease the transmission rates of COVID-19. Therefore, the AAP encourages that athletes wear them at all times for group training, competition, and on the sidelines. You can see the site up here at the top, and it'll be given to Stephanie and Judy to be put in the minutes so everybody can see for themselves. But it goes, the guidance goes through everything having to do with organized sports for children and adolescents. And again, this is 67,000 pediatricians and specialists in the United States, and they say it should be worn. When you go to their webpage, there's a lot of different articles that they provide. Okay, so I promised I would talk about kids and their cloth face coverings. Can wearing a mask make it harder for my child to breathe? The answer you'll see is no. Can masks interfere with a child's lung development? The answer is no. Do masks trap the carbon dioxide that we normally breathe out? The answer is no. Can masks lead to a weaker immune system by putting the body under stress? The answer is no. And how do they prevent the spread of COVID-19? And we've talked about it. The answer is obvious. They prevent the spread of COVID-19. This is not my opinion. Going back to Mr. Yandel's point, okay, this is not, hey, Dario thinks this, and I think that, and therefore there's a difference in opinion. These are experts. These are the pediatricians that you take your kids to when there's something wrong with your kid, and they're telling you wear the mask while you're playing sports. But that particular site didn't quite say wear the mask when playing sports, right? Okay, well, there's another article from the same Association of Pediatricians, okay, that talks to wearing masks when playing sports. Masks in sports. Should youth athletes wear face coverings during COVID-19? And it says here, yes, they absolutely should during group training and competition, on the sidelines, bench, in dugouts, participating in team chats, and so forth, and so forth, and so forth. Okay, cloth face coverings are particularly important when it's not possible to stay 6 feet apart. Okay, again, pediatricians telling you this when they're not. So when you're playing basketball and you're playing defense and you're in somebody else's face, You're not 6 feet apart. You're in somebody else's face. Face coverings can be removed when participating in certain sports. And they talk about that, right? You don't want them when you're swimming. And then they talk about cheerleading. They talk about wrestling because the mask can get caught in and a kid can be choked. Okay, those are the situations where you shouldn't be wearing cloth coverings. Every other sports, American Association of Pediatricians, they say wear the masks. I've talked about, numerous studies and I listed them during the last council session. Those haven't changed. Those are real. That's evidence. I didn't make those up. They're out there. And if you sit 10 minutes in front of Google and you start really reading, it tells you what I'm telling you right now. Kids should be wearing masks. Now, if the council chooses otherwise, so be it. I've made my point, and I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to let the rest of the council talk. But in my heart of hearts, I believe that it's the right decision. The evidence is clear that it's not going to have any detrimental effect on any child out there. And on those days where it is 97 degrees and the kids are standing out in the sun for 4 hours at a baseball game, well, perhaps then they should lower the masks, but I think by that point, everything's going to have changed anyway, because in the summer, it just changed. The transmission rates weren't what they are now. If you're talking about starting a sports program in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, New Jersey's still in the red. Okay, there's no question about it. So has any consideration, one of the questions is, has any consideration been given to children who suffer from asthma? Part of the mandate is that if you have a doctor's note that says that you shouldn't wear a mask, then you're not going to wear a mask. If there's a condition that prevents you from being able to wear a mask, that's different. But if everybody else is wearing masks, the one individual who has the asthma who can't wear a mask, well, that individual is probably not going to endanger everybody else or be endangered because they're going to be protected because everybody else is wearing a mask. So, that's your answer. But yeah, if there's a doctor's note and the doctor says, no, I cannot wear a mask while playing sports, then so be it. I don't think anybody's going to give you a hard time about that, Mike. So anyway, thank you. And I appreciate your consideration and letting me talk.
Okay, Councilwoman Bastide, any comments or thoughts?
I'll just reiterate my comments earlier, that I was a member of the COVID committee, that when this originally came to us, I felt that we should follow the state guidelines. However, I listened carefully to Councilman Canigo, and out of respect for him and his passion for this position and his willingness to revisit it on a regular basis, I agreed to go forward with it. However, my position remains that we should be following the state guidelines and that we should not have a mask mandate during play, that we should encourage and recommend that participants wear the mask. I think all the testimony, I'll call it that, since sometimes this feels like we're in a court of law with Councilman Canigo Esquire, that there was very successful play in the spring and the summer and the fall, and that those children and participants who wanted to wear a mask during play did so, and there was no stigma around that. And I feel that we should respect the hard work that the leagues have done and the volunteers have done to keep the participants safe. And I'm ready to make my motion now, but I will wait for all the other council people to make their comments, and then I'd like the opportunity to make a motion when we've concluded.
Absolutely. I would normally move to Councilman Gordiera, but seeing that I was also part of the COVID committee and I have not yet spoken, I concur with everything Councilwoman Bastide has said. I also thought that we should not exceed the state's limits, but out of great respect for Councilman Canigo, his passion, his thorough investigation, and with the understanding that this was going to be revisited many, many times, I agreed at that time to go forward with the committee's, the now defunct committee's recommendation. Next would be in seniority would be Councilman Gordier.
Thank you, Mayor. I would have liked to postpone this decision until a later date, but however, we're being told by the league representatives that's not possible. I think if we don't revise this decision, I think we have to consider reimbursing people who had signed up for the sports before this decision was made. I know for Blackhawks, for example, the individuals who participate in that sport, travel soccer, sign up in the fall for the fall and spring season. So if a parent didn't want their child to participate due to these restrictions, I think that individual would have to be reimbursed. I would also agree that we should encourage the use of masks, especially on the sidelines. But I do agree with Councilwoman Bastide that we should follow the state guidelines. You know, I know that I don't know everything about everything. So I try to trust the opinions of people I respect. So what I did was I actually contacted a family member who happens to be a pediatrician and asked her her opinion. And she's a pediatrician at a major hospital in New Jersey. And she informed me that when her children go and have play dates at the park, she does not require that they wear a mask because the rate of transmission outdoors in that situation is so low. Like I said, I'm not a doctor. That's why I asked her opinion on this subject. And she told me that she felt it was overkill. If parents want to have their children wear masks, I would not oppose it, obviously, and I would definitely encourage it on the sideline, especially when they're sitting in close proximity to each other. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Councilwoman Kaufman.
I am concerned about what may happen to the kids after reading the AAP, the Pediatric Association's recommendation that anyone who does get COVID, who's a child, goes through a 14-point test at a doctor's office. And if they fail that test, they then need to go see a cardiologist. So I do think there is, you know, real risk for kids right now, especially with the new versions of COVID that are going around. So that's my view.
Okay. Councilwoman Montesano-Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So my position on wearing masks and social distancing throughout the ongoing pandemic has been clear. I wear masks to protect you and others unless it's social distancing is not possible. Wearing masks is common sense, even more so, like Councilwoman Kaufman just said, the virulence of the new variants, it's already in our state. The long-term effects of COVID in children, there was a article 4 days ago that I can introduce to the record for the minutes. Talk about the inflammatory concerns on their lungs and their heart, which are continually to be unknown. They're long-terms that we don't know what's going to happen. I'm cognizant of the fact that the vaccine is being deployed and people are getting their shots. Herd immunity is not going to get here until probably the summer, according to the CDC data. I echo Council President Kinigo's sources. I've reviewed them as well. I pay a lot of attention to the Association of American Pediatrics, and where they reiterated as of a month ago that wearing masks at all times for group training, competition, and on the sideline is recommended. That said, my position hasn't changed. I think masks are needed, even more so now with the continued changes on the virus. As a mom, I'm very concerned in the long-term risks of the virus at this point in time.
Councilwoman Kinsella.
Thank you, Mayor. I echo my colleagues here on the council. And I agree with Councilman Gautier. I wish we had more time to make this decision, but I did not know that March 3rd was the deadline to enroll the kids into the sports. I wholeheartedly agree with President Kinigo's mask wearing. I mean, it's very important. I think it keeps everyone safe. However, I am listening to the residents as well. And that is something I need to really think about. That's just my thoughts right now.
All right, great. So at this point, is there a motion?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that we remove the mask mandate requirement for during play. We will strongly recommend and encourage participants to wear masks, but we'll remove the mask mandate.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded. Ms. Evans, roll call.
Councilwoman Bastide,
Yes.
Councilman Kanigo,
No.
Councilman Gaudier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman,
No.
Councilwoman Kinsella,
Yes.
okay, and Councilwoman Cohen.
No.
So it is now a tie vote of 3-3. I vote yes. So the motion to amend to not require masks has passed by a vote of 4-3. All right. So at this point, could I have Ms. Bandanza please unmute herself? Carolyn.
Yes, I am here.
Carolyn, so the council has voted by a majority vote, a simple majority, that the mask mandate is no longer in effect, though strongly advised. So basically, we are returning to the state's position. You need to work with the different heads and move forward. Is there any more guidance you need from the council in this matter or any other regard?
I guess, well, we had created our return to play based off of the New Jersey Department of Health guidelines. So I'm going to assume that we're going to still follow that policy, but just make the changes as discussed in this meeting.
Correct.
I guess my only other question was that leagues were originally supposed to send their own policies to me as to how to enforce some of these criteria, these issues, the participants and the masks. So do they still need to submit how they're enforcing these items, and does that need to be approved by the council, or is that something I could review with Lizette?
Members of the council, what are your opinions? Hearing none, I'm going to tell you, Carolyn, that coordinate this with the liaison and with the BA, Ms. Apatella. And if there is a problem, they will bring it up to me, or we may have to we may have to move to the issue may have to come before the council at the next council meeting. There is a possibility of an emergency meeting of the council if there is some issue that cannot wait.
Mayor?
Yes.
Can I ask a question? Well, obviously the leagues would have to adhere to the governor's executive orders,
Yes.
but could the leagues themselves be more stringent if they choose to be?
No, they don't have that authority. That authority resides with this council.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Okay, Carolyn, anything else?
That is all. Thank you. I appreciate everyone's time regarding this.
Okay. Okay, council comments. I'm going to start from left to right on my screen. Councilwoman Koff, wait, is there any new or old business? Hearing none. We are now at the point of council comments. So Councilwoman Kaufman.
I just wanted to thank everyone who attended tonight and spoke for their time. It's greatly appreciated. And also just wanted to congratulate again junior firefighter Nicholas Iannantuano, volunteer firefighter Joseph Herman, and volunteer firefighter Patrick Rizzo. And stay safe, everybody.
Councilwoman Bastide.
Thank you, Mayor. I also like to thank all the residents for participating and for my fellow council members for their preparation and their thoughtfulness and all their service to the community and to the community. I'd like to congratulate our 3 new firefighters. I now have 2 neighbors, Nicholas and Chris Iannantuano, who are junior firefighters. So it's great for our small block of Bogart Road. We congratulate them. And speaking of the fire service, I would just like to recognize that a 49-year veteran of Bergen County Fire Service, former Upper Saddle River Fire Chief Larry Roush passed away. And I know the members of the River Edge Volunteer Fire Department, I'm sure are remembering him fondly this evening. He was a Bergen County Fire Coordinator for many, many, many years. So I just want to send condolences to the fire services community in Bergen County on the loss of Chief Larry Roush. Those are my only comments tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Councilwoman Montesano Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks to everyone that participated tonight and helped us deliberate throughout this decision. Appreciate everybody's time and information. And also congratulate the new firefighters and thank them for their service already. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome. Council President Kanigo.
Thank you, Mayor. Congratulations to the firefighters. Thank you, everybody who participated tonight. And we'll see you next week or in 2 weeks.
Thank you. Councilwoman Kinsella.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Congratulations to the new firefighters and thanks to the residents for participating in the meeting and sharing their thoughts and views on during the meeting. Thank you.
Councilman Gordia.
Thank you, Mayor. I would also like to thank everyone who participated and congratulate our 3 new firefighters. I would also like to congratulate our health department. Through our health officer, we received a grant for COVID contact tracing and case investigation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. I'd like to echo everyone's comments and just to add, I'm very proud of this council. This was a meaningful, intelligent debate. This was a respectful debate. I'd like to thank the public for who came and spoke. It was very respectful. It was very meaningful. People offered their positions. I think this is the way a democratic republic should work. And so I'm very, very proud. Could I have a motion to close?
So moved.
And a
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Bastide,
Yes.
Councilman Kanigo,
Yes.
Councilman Godier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cohen.
Yes.
Thanks to all and good night.
Night.